Tuesday Drive.
Now, if you follow Triple UFM on Twitter, you would have seen the tweet this morning about Men's Health Week and the importance of talking to someone if you need any help during these stressful times. And of course, the best number to call is Lifeline on 13 11 14 or Beyond Blue on 1300 2246 36. But as you may or may not know, it's Men's Health Week, and guys are returning to a place where many a conversation has taken place over the whir of power tools, and that's the men's shed. For months, the sheds have been closed due to that pesky COVID-19, but they're swinging their doors open, and they want to spread the word about the health and well-being benefits from blokes getting together for a chat. Joining me on Tuesday Drive is the Executive Officer of the Australian Men's Shed Association, Mr. David Helmers. Hello, David.
Hey, Stephen. How are you?
Good. Now, how have you survived the lockdown?
Look, yeah, next question, I suppose. Like everybody else, struggled through it, trying to work and keep the organisation moving forward and, you know, homeschool a 11-year-old boy at the same time. It was a bit of a challenge, mate.
Because how many men's sheds are there across Australia?
I think at last count, there's 1,153 men's sheds across Australia. And to put that into some perspective, I think we lead our favourite fast food hamburger franchise by about 180.
Wow.
So there's 180 more men's sheds in Australia than there are hamburger places.
So was it a tough decision then to actually have to close the doors?
It was, and look, I think it wasn't our decision, of course, as everything played out. We advised the sheds probably a week before the government enforced the shutdowns to close, and most of them did adhere to that and take that advice. But men's sheds, it was a bit contradictory to what we're all about. We're all about preventing social isolation in the shed, and you know, all of a sudden everyone was being told to socially isolate. So we had to reinvent ourselves to a certain degree there very quickly.
Now, I believe that may have been with a certain podcast. Was that one of the initiatives the men's shed had taken?
Yeah, we launched a few initiatives. One was the Shed Online, which is basically a very simplistic social media platform. You know, knowing that a lot of the guys in the sheds are older and not, fully IT literate, I suppose. So we made a very simplistic version of Facebook, essentially, for men shedders, and that went global. And so then we launched at the same time the Shed Wireless, which a podcast program, which I think at the moment we've got about 5,500 listeners per week downloading the Shed Wireless.
That's great
program.
numbers, David.
Yeah, it's been very, very successful, and yeah, I've got to add there too, Stephen. We got another 2,500 men's sheds operating outside of Australia in 12 other countries now. So, and they all look to, you know, Australia as the homeland of men's sheds, and you know, they're interacting with the Shed Online and the Shed Wireless program as well.
Can I just take you back to that other initiative you were just talking about? It was sort of like a Facebook, like a Facebook platform, which you said's gone global, but that was actually designed right here in Australia.
Yes,
that's amazing.
We put that together in a couple of weeks on a very small budget, and I mean very, very small budget, and we had to keep. And I think that helped us not having the financial resources to do it, so we had to keep it very simple. So we used a lot of formatting and platform structure similar to your old blog sites back from the dial-up days of the internet, and made it very easy to use. And yeah, that has, I think there's like 6,000 users on it so far.
And are you going to keep that active?
Yes, we'll keep both programs active, the Shed Wireless and the Shed Online. They both become, by a bit of creativity when we had to create things to keep men socially engaged very quickly. They've been both very successful, and now they're very valuable assets to us for the future. They're a very effective way of communicating with all the blokes out there in the men's sheds.
And how can guys access this platform?
Look, they can just go to our website and they'll find the links to both the Shed Online and the Shed Wireless on the website, which is mensheds.org, or the simple way everyone Googles things these days, just Google men's sheds, and you'll come to our website very quickly that way.
Can I just say, though, when you mentioned the word dial-up before, I just had these awful shivers run down my spine, David, of past memories of that awful sound
the
modem.
old noises and waiting for 5
Lord.
minutes for a page to load up.
Now,
We're from that era where we can remember those things.
Oh, look, David, I was just going to paint a bit of a picture for you. It's 2020. The sheds have been closed down due to the coronavirus pandemic, but they're opening their doors. It's Men's Health Week. What are the health benefits for blokes to get back together and have a chat with each other?
And we know now that the prevention of social isolation is a key ingredient to improving men's health. When we first started the whole men's shed concept, it didn't start that way. We started with hobby groups, and very quickly it became very apparent that the health benefits are there, that men need to, like all people, we need to engage with each other. And men are at a lot of high risk of social isolation, especially when they're out of work or they retire. And the men's shed replicates that environment, that social environment they had in the workplace. So, it is very crucial to their health. And through the men's shed projects as well, like normally I'd be talking to you, Stephen, on during Men's Health Week, we run a program called Spanner in the Works, which is a program to remind men each year to have a health checkup. With the blokes who will get their car serviced once a year or every 50,000 miles or whatever it may be, but they neglect their body. So we encourage men, this time of year to get out and see the doctor and have a annual checkup or annual service. So this year we're unable to do those programs in the sheds because of the COVID problems and these events that we usually hold. So, we're just getting back to our basics, encouraging men to socialise with each other. It is very good for their health, to talk about their problems and to interact with each other.
I can only imagine as well, and you just touched on it before, especially with with so many businesses closing down during the pandemic, so many people have lost their jobs. And as you said, one of the key ideas of the men's shed is to prevent social isolation. So the fact that you guys are opening your doors again, I could just imagine how excited people are going to be to get back and just talk about the situation that they're faced.
Yeah, there is some men who are very excited, and I can guarantee you as well, Stephen, there's a lot of women are very happy that their men are leaving the house and going back to the shed as well, mate.
Well,
I had a great story told to me from a shedder up in Queensland yesterday, whose granddaughter was with his wife, going to school, and they passed the men's shed, and the little daughter in the backyard, in the back seat of the car, who's only about 4, turned and said, "Nan, is that's Poppy's daycare centre there that we just passed?"
How does one respond to that?
Well, it's probably pretty true, to be honest. So, it's where Pop goes for daycare, to the men's shed.
It's funny because the question I'm actually asking today on the show is around men's sheds. I'm asking people, are there any particular projects that they've worked on in the past that, have been particularly special or who've got very fond memories? So, yeah, I'm really interested to hear from people this afternoon because I know that it's a lot more than just getting the power tools going, of course, but I know they work on a lot of projects and help a lot of community organisations.
Yeah, and the guys are keen to, as we say, they're keen to get back to the shed and make what we call man candy, which is their word for sawdust, and interact with each other and build things for their community and for themselves as well. I've been, and I'm talking to you tonight, seen from my shed at my house, but I'm keen to get back to my local men's shed and see all the boys there as well.
And where's your men's shed, David?
I'm in up in the Hunter Valley in Newcastle, and I've got a whole range of men's sheds around the corner. But I quite often frequent the Windale men's shed.
Now, when you get back to your men's shed in the Hunter Valley, are there any particular projects that you guys are going to start working on, Toot Sweep?
Look, the guys in the shed, I know they're all pretty keen to get back to. They had a few projects going. They were building some stuff for the local school and a few other things. I mainly, like these days, I spend most of my time in the office. So when I get back to the shed, I like to just sit down and have a cup of coffee and a chat with the boys. And when I get on the tools and actually, make something, I've got, at least 50 blokes around me that will always be telling me I'm doing it bloody wrong in the first place and have to start again all the time.
It must be a lot of projects that you're getting a lot of advice on by the sound of it, David.
Yeah, look, everyone's an expert in the men's shed, and they'll always tell you the right way and the wrong way to do things.
Well, as I mentioned before, we're at the start of Men's Health Week. Dave, you got any final words of advice for those listening today?
Look, I think we've all been through, globally a very difficult time, and a lot of older men in particular have felt, quite isolated and frightened and a bit vulnerable through this. But, I encourage all of them, even if they haven't been to a men's shed, to go to a shed and get involved and enjoy the camaraderie that comes with the men's shed.
Some very wise advice there indeed. David, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon, and enjoy the rest of Men's Health Week.
Not a problem. You have a great evening, Stephen. Pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much. That was David Helmers, the Executive Officer of the Australian Men's Shed Association. And if you're interested in getting involved, there's some great news. We've actually got a number of men's sheds around the Shoalhaven, including Nowra, West Nowra, Greenwell Point, Shoalhaven Heads, Culburra, Berry, Jervis Bay, Bay and Basin, Sanctuary Point, Gerringong and Sussex Inlet. But you can head to mensshed.org for the contact details. And of course, you might even like to download the podcast as well. Still more to come on Tuesday Drive, including a look at the weather around the country, our silver screen sports update, and where you can find the cheapest petrol across the Shoalhaven. It's 13 to 6.
This is Tuesday Drive.